Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Poultries Podcast. This is now our fourth episode,
Right.
and sorry that it's been a while. We've just both been busy with school and midterms, but we're glad to be back. And today we have an exciting topic to talk about, and we have some exciting news regarding the podcast. Luke,
Yep.
you want to tell them what our exciting news is?
So with our good friends from Your Fish and Chips have sponsored us for this lovely podcast, and we'd like to thank them very much for their help and encouragement for this. And um, we'd like you guys to go check out Your Fish and Chips down in St. Thomas on Talbot Street.
Yeah, their generosity and support will help us throughout the year and help us to really become a true podcast. But anyways, let's dig into it. This topic today relates to what shows and movies we find good to binge watch. And I think during COVID, we have all found ourselves binge watching a series or a movie like trilogy or something like that. And I often find myself saying, "Oh, I'll only watch one more," but that turns into a whole season in a day or one or two movies of a series.
Yeah,
But that's what we have to do these days to kill time. But it's exciting, you don't have to get off the couch, and why keep stopping when it's so good?
exactly. I usually go through these phases of it's either I watch movie series, like several trilogies or however many they have, or it's only like shows. And right now I'm into the TV
It,
shows. So
yeah, it's hard to switch back and forth. Once you get
yeah,
started on a movie series or a TV series, you can't just say like, "Oh, I'll take a break." Like you got to finish it.
yeah, exactly.
Um, okay, enough about that. Let's talk about movies. We're both big movie fans. We're constantly watching movies and talking about them. And when we say movie series, we're gonna say like a trilogy, or something like maybe has four or five movies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trilogies out there. Some of the
And
greatest movies come in threes.
yeah, well, I'm gonna mention a few movies that have two of them that are like so good
Mhm.
that they almost need
Yeah.
their own shout
Hmm.
out for them.
Yeah. So I think the obvious one is for both of us. We often do this once or twice a year. We like to get into the Marvel series,
Yeah, I
and I know um, probably a year ago when COVID first hit, I watched all 22 of them at the start,
yeah. Well, was there 20? Is it 22 now or
and
23 here?
22, 23, whatever's on Disney. And it was just like, you're just like, oh, I'll throw on a Marvel movie. But then you're like, oh, I'll watch them from the beginning, Iron Man all the way to
Avengers Endgame.
Endgame, yes. And, when I watch Marvel movies, I'm not really a big timeline person. I usually just go, from order of release. I don't know why. I just find, but some
Yeah,
people like to watch them
I
in certain ways.
yeah, I did that a few years ago. I watched them in order from release date, and and then it kind of switches up because all these movies like came in, like Captain Marvel came in like recently, and it's like one of the first movies. So then I rewatched it again by like their actual chronological order.
Hmm.
And then the most recent time I watched it all through, I watched my favorite ones first. So that'd be like Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War,
Yeah.
Spider Man, and then I kind of like got onto like the crappier ones like Thor, the first one, Dark, and then Dark World. Like
Yeah, with Marvel movies, usually I watch my favorite ones first, and then I'll just kind of, pick out away the ones that I don't really like, just, watch them to watch.
yeah,
But, I highly suggest if you haven't seen any of the Marvel movies, just start from Iron Man in 2008 and make your way all the way up to
yeah. They have
Avengers Endgame.
if you have Disney Plus, you can go on. They have like certain categories, and it tells you like the timeline, so you can watch it through that way.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I also do like the Marvel ones because there's so many stories going on and
I know.
characters. It's always being introduced.
Yeah,
Um,
and there's so much
and the
new
good thing
stuff
about
they're
the
adding.
Marvel movies is like they're all like 2 to 3 hours. So
Yeah.
once you watch one, you're like, oh, might as well watch another one to kill half my day.
Exactly. There's yeah, I don't think any of them
Mhm,
are honestly under 2 hours. Maybe like two of them are.
mhm.
But
Yeah, and personally, since we're talking about superhero movies, I often find myself watching Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises a couple times a year. I love those movies.
yeah.
All three of them great. Um, you don't have to watch those in order, like you can, but I usually just throw them on,
Yeah.
if I'm bored or.
And you know what's funny about you know how people are like, "Oh, like the second movie or any movie after the first one is not as good." But I think
This is
Dark Knight
not
is
true.
yeah, Dark Knight is definitely like one of the best movies
Yeah.
of all time. And it definitely
Mhm. And
trumps the first one.
yeah, The Dark Knight Rises is great, like ending
Yeah,
to that
that's almost
trilogy.
yeah, almost borderline better than Batman Begins.
Hmm. Um, Other than DC, there's not much to watch.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan
You
of
can watch,
DC, honestly.
you can watch the Justice League and like Batman vs Superman and Wonder Woman's, but I haven't really binge watched those yet. I kind of just watch them whenever,
Yeah,
but
I've
I
watched
definitely do binge watch the Dark Knight Rises series, but not the other ones. I just kind of
yeah.
watch them whenever.
Yeah, back when we went back into Red Zone, I watched all the Spider-Mans, like the Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire
Oh,
ones.
yeah.
And oh, they're
Hmm.
all so good. Like there's something I love
Hmm.
about each one, and each movies like have their own
Hmm.
goodness to it.
Yeah. I did rewatch the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire, and after when those first came out, we were a little younger, so we miss a lot. But when you
Yeah,
rewatch them when you're older, they're actually really good. Like
I know.
um,
And
the Garfield ones, I've watched back to back a couple times, but um, and then there's obviously the new ones with Tom Holland, but I haven't really you know I've binge watched like them in Marvel series, but never really back to back
uh,
because so much happens
yeah,
in between.
I'm a big fan of the. I
But
think Andrew Garfield ones are kind of hated on like a bit too much.
mhm.
I know the story's a bit different,
um,
but that kind of separates between each different director
yeah,
and writer and cast.
you know, yeah, the Tom Holland ones you can definitely binge watch and don't have to watch any other movies because there was nothing really out. And the
Yeah,
Marvel series didn't start till after Spider-Man 3, but you can definitely watch those back to back to back and be
I
happy.
know,
And
and
they're good movies to watch.
they're adding the new one. The I guess it's gonna be Spider Verse. I don't know.
I'm excited for that
Yeah,
if
me too.
that's true. Um, okay, another movie series I think we both can testify for binge watching is Star Wars.
Oh, definitely.
And I've seen every Star Wars. I've probably seen them in every possible order, binge watched them. But when I do a Star Wars binge watch, I go order of release. Like I don't do the timeline. I don't know why. I just like doing it in order of
Yeah,
release. Starting with
a lot of people
the,
are
the
different about
original,
that.
then the prequels, then the trilogy, then the sequels, and then the side movies. But I usually start New Hope and end with um, Rise of Skywalker and everything in between that came out of order release.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not sure why. I just do it. I enjoy it. Star Wars has definitely been one of my favorite movie series to watch since I could remember.
I know, and I think if you watch it in the release order, it kind of like all these movies like kind of add because like Rogue One was like super good to A New Hope, and it like adds so much like story
Mm-hmm.
and all these characters that
Mm-hmm.
died. Spoiler alert.
Um, if you watch them in chronological order, like I have done it, but you really kind of miss some stuff. Like it's it's kind of nice because you watch 4, 5, and 6, you learn about stuff, and if you watch like the first two, it fills all those holes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, and then it
because
kind of
when you
makes like
watch, like if you start with it completes it. But if you
yeah.
start with Phantom Menace and go like in order of timeline, there's a lot that you're like, oh, like you just learn a lot. But like, how do you usually watch Star Wars? Do you do order of
I
release, or do you just kind of?
I'm like you. I kind of start with. I used to do the originals first, and then the prequels, and then back to the new ones. But
Like the side
recently,
ones?
yeah, and then recently I found myself going from chronological order because it's kind of nice to see how the characters grow and fall and
Mm-hmm.
things change in the movie.
I remember for like the longest time, we only owned 4, 5, and 6, so that's all I could watch. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like, so I thought like 1, 2, and 3. Like when we first got those, I was watching those all the time because I was like, oh my god, like I didn't have these when I was younger. Um, I used to love watching like 1 and 2 all the time, back to back. But
uh-huh.
um,
Yeah, those are really
the new
good.
and then
Like
there's
they pair well
um,
together.
yeah, I can definitely binge watch like the originals and the prequels, but I have done the new ones, and I can't do it all the time. But
Yeah,
not a big fan of the new ones. But a Star Wars movie is a Star Wars movie, but
yeah. You
definitely
can't go
not
wrong.
ones worthy personally binge watching. But the original 6, I could binge watch the whole
I
time.
don't,
I could go
yeah,
without watching the new ones.
I actually am a really big fan of the Rise of the Skywalker because it
Mm-hmm.
kind of fills all the holes that they kind of messed up with in
Yeah.
the Last Jedi. Like Force Awakens like set them up so well, and then the Last Jedi killed it, and then like the Rise of Skywalker
um,
kind of fixed it a bit,
I
but
mean, we like Rise of our Force Awakens, like 2015. We were watching every Star Wars. So many, we like it was like 10 years since they released the Star Wars,
yeah,
and we had already seen the 6 probably a million times before that and binge watched it. I remember over the holidays this year, like Star Wars. There was a Star Wars marathon on one of the channels every day, and I
yeah,
watched it. Even if I don't care if I watched it the day before,
yeah.
I'm gonna watch it again. Just
Just
why not?
throw it on. That's why they're so good though. Like 'cause you can just constantly
Yeah, like
put them on and like never a dull moment.
yeah, you could never say turn Star Wars off.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and speaking of Star Wars, we can talk about The Mandalorian because that show is so good, and John
mm,
Favreau is a genius.
but yes, but like that's the show you can't quite binge watch it because as fans as we are, we wait every week. So,
Yeah,
but
I've
if you haven't seen it, I definitely suggest binge watching the first 2 seasons.
yeah, it's really easy to like get through the first one because like when we first watched it, we were waiting a week. We had like all these theories going on between each week, but then like
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched them again. It's just like you can like you can like fly through them. Like
Yeah.
I watched them again like season one. I watched the first 5 episodes like after dinner, and I was like, holy, like it was so easy to fly through. And like think of that, it was like a month of
Mm-hmm.
us just waiting for 5 episodes, and I did it all in a night.
Yeah, it's hard to believe how like crazy we go for only 8, 9 episodes. Um, but yeah, I haven't rewatched those just because there's other stuff I've been watching, but movie wise for binge watching, once a year I try to do a binge watch of like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits, but just rewatch them.
Yeah,
But those are really long. You have to give your time and hopefully not
yeah.
fall asleep.
Also like Harry Potter. Harry Potter's what they have
Mhm.
8, I think.
Yeah, I usually, I don't know, found in my house. If everyone's home and it's like a rainy day, Harry Potter, we usually just throw those on in the ones we like.
Yeah,
We start out one and
I've
wherever we
seen
go, we go.
I've seen the two good ones. I think it's the first one and Deathly Hollows Part 2 are the ones I've
Yeah.
watched like several times, but like the other ones I've watched just once. So I'm not a huge fan, but I can understand where people come from and like how good it is and like
I think Harry Potter, if it's on, I'll put it on. I'll just, and if you know it, watch the next one. Might as well. Just I think that's a very popular one to binge watch. Um,
Pirates of the Caribbean is also very good to binge watch.
yes,
Johnny Depp is
I
so good in it.
when I was younger, the original three, the first three, oh, I watched those all the time. The two new ones, I haven't quite done a binge watch from like 1 to 5. I've been meaning to. It's just I always forget about 4 and 5, and like because the characters change, and but
Yeah,
I used to
it's a
watch.
big change.
Mhm,
But I mean, I think the main like point you kind of get at is like, yeah, like the side characters like Orlando Bloom and
mhm.
the girl, I forget her name, but they kind of add to Johnny Depp's character. But I think Johnny Depp's like the star of it, and he really kills it, even in the fourth and fifth one. Like the
Mhm.
story's a bit off, like it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to like, but he's so good.
What about you? Had said something about sequels. What are your sequels you like to watch? Just movies that are two movies.
Um, there's this really violent movie called The Boondock Saints. It's
Mm-hmm.
about basically these two Irish guys and they just like
Okay.
murder people. It's really good. I feel like this is like a thing not a lot of people have heard about, but
Mm-hmm.
I suggest people to watch that. It's like so good.
Yeah. I think another movie series, I'm not quite into it. I know it's super popular, is The Fast and Furious. I've watched a couple, but I've seen, I think, every one, but I've never done a binge watch. They're not into me, but I know people who will watch them from start to finish.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Um,
honestly not a huge fan either. I think like the racing part of the actual movies is cool, but like I think the characters are just like their actors
mhm,
themselves are just like bad and they kind of overact. It's just
mhm.
like super dramatic when it doesn't need to be.
Um, yes, I think just like I think another series, I've seen them but never really binge watched the Rocky and Creed movies. I know there's diehard fans out there. There's the first Rocky, really good. But then,
Yeah,
I think the series, I've never binged watched it, but another good series.
yeah.
Um, I think a little old school one that people is Back to the Future. I could binge watch all three. They're
Yeah,
great.
I actually
Um,
watched them recent or like back when COVID first hit. I watched them again, and
mhm,
like they're a lot better than I thought they were. Like I thought they were like
yeah.
this old movie. Like I haven't seen them in a while. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna put it
Hmm.
on. But I ended up watching them, and like
Yeah.
they're pretty good. Like they're entertaining.
Hmm. Yeah. And a series that like the ones I just rewatched that are pretty good is the Jason Bourne. You know,
Oh yeah, I haven't seen those
those
in a
are
while either.
those are older movies, but if you watch the first three, like I watched them back to back to back, and
Hmm.
they're good. Matt Damon. I think those movies people kind of forget about and how good they are. And
Yeah,
they made the two after, but the original three really good.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, and then it kind of reminds me of like
hmm.
James Bond. Like there's so
Yeah,
many of
I
those.
there's so many of those. Um, when I do a binge watch of James Bond, I just kind of go by actor. Like I don't
Yeah,
really,
same.
you know, I don't just throw on the random James Bonds. Like if I do a binge watch of James Bonds, they all have to be the same actor. Like
Yeah, Daniel. I usually do Daniel
Daniel
Craig.
Craig. Yeah,
I
Daniel
like
Craig. I'm
I like
excited for his new one.
Yeah, me too. That's coming out this year, I think. And I think my favorite James
Hmm.
Bond is probably Sean Connery and then Daniel Craig. But it's kind of hard to compete
Yeah.
because like these new movies have like good CGI, like the
Oh,
makeup and
Skyfall, great.
yeah, Skyfall is so good.
Um, and now I guess you know, there's obviously as kids, Toy Story, never an old one to
Oh yeah,
binge watch.
yeah,
I used to watch those all the time as kids.
yeah,
Um,
definitely my favorite cartoon.
uh, and ones I've been meaning, is there a series meaning to be? I want to rewatch. I want to rewatch the X-Men. I think they're making a little comeback with the
Yeah,
Marvel Fox universe, and I need to rewatch those right away.
I think Deadpool was a was a
Hmm.
good like step up for them, kind of
Back-to-back
saving them.
sequel. Yeah,
Yeah,
I could
see
rewatch the first and
those
second
are
Deadpool.
I'd consider Deadpool like a good mini movie series because like there's only two of them, but like they did so good in the box office and in
Hmm.
sales and They really kill it.
And there's obviously movie series that I haven't seen that I probably should watch, being such a good movie fan, such as The Godfather.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of those.
I have not seen those. I know they're super long, great old cast. I know they're all 3 hours each, but I need to sit one down one day and
Give them
watch
a watch.
it and give them a watch.
Oh, and there's
Yeah.
the Transformers.
So we can move on. Yes, I used to watch those all the
Yeah,
time. Haven't done a
sorry to
binge
cut you off.
watch, but I know
Yeah, I'm not
that's
a
all
big
good.
fan. I feel like they're kind of falling off
Um,
because the Bumblebee one was not as good.
mhm. Um, more spies. Mission Impossible. I've I've done a couple binge watch, like not in one day. Like I watched 1, 2, 3, 4. Just kind of usually watch
Yeah.
2 in a row. They're not my favorite, but
Yeah.
definitely worth watching.
Yeah, and then there's John Wick, Terminator. I feel like a lot of
Yes.
these movies are male protagonists.
Rambo.
Yeah, it's like these really like beefy man who's on a mission just to kill people or do something awesome.
I think we can all find ourselves not necessarily a series watching Quentin Tarantino movies, 1 or 2 all the time.
Yeah.
But as a sequel, Kill Bill 1, 2, it's a good one to watch. I find myself, if I watch one Quentin Tarantino movie, I'll usually throw on another, then the next day.
Yeah, they're just so like it's almost like they're in their own universe. Like they're just so similar by chapters.
It seems like you can make connections to all the movies. It's like, oh my.
Yeah.
Okay, but now movies. Now we have TV shows. I think a TV show is, it's depending. Some shows 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. But those Netflix shows, oh my God, like they just released like 1 or 2 episodes like a week, or they just released the whole season at a time. So let's binge watch it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I like. That's what I really liked about WandaVision so far. But it was really hard for those first 2 episodes because they were so boring and so slow. Like I was thinking, like they turned this like 20-minute clip of like a flashback into like a 20-minute episode turning into 40 minutes, and it's just kind of a waste of screen time. Like, yeah, it's cool, we get it, but like there's so much more they could have added, and I'm still yet to watch the season finale, so I got to watch that. Maybe I'll watch that.
I'm a little behind, but
I think you're 3 or 4 episodes behind.
What's like, there's those shows on those streaming services that they have like 10, 12 seasons, start to finish. What's like the first show you remember that you actually like binge watched and just fell in love with, and you just like finished it in like a crazy amount of time?
Well, back in like elementary school, the end of it, and beginning of high school, I watched this show called The 100. So I think there was 2 seasons when I watched it because my friends told me about it, and I watched those 2, and then like each year they came out with like 1 new season. I think it was like 10 episodes, and then I finally got up to like season 5. I think there's like 7 or 8 seasons now.
Yeah.
But like I was like so into that and watching it, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. I was into the 100. I kind of stopped. One show that like I think, this is just an obvious one that I actually binged watched and like couldn't keep my eyes off the screen is definitely The Office.
Yeah.
I was a few years late actually. I got into high school and everyone, was like, oh, watch The Office, you gotta watch The Office. And I'd watch the odd episode. It was funny. But then one day I think, you know what, I'm just gonna start it from the beginning. And right from season 1, I just could not stop. I think.
I know. It's also one of my favorites as
so
well.
funny and it's addicting. Episodes are only like 22 minutes and you're like, okay, one more. And before you know it, you're like done the show.
Yeah. I mean, it's so
each
good because
character
there's
is
so many
great.
episodes.
Over 120 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
And now I find myself watching The Office, like binge watching it. whenever.
Yeah.
Just throw. Oh, that's my show. I just throw on to watch,
Yeah.
and I probably watch the whole series once a year since I know it's bad, but it's just such a good show. I don't think that will ever get old. I'll always be able to watch the same episode 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I think I was a bit late. I think I was even later than you, maybe.
Hmm.
I was late. Like, I just found it a couple years ago, and I showed it to
Hmm.
so many people. Like, people are telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, this show's
Hmm.
pretty good. Like, I think I got through the
Um,
first when I first watched it. It was like took me a month.
yeah, after the first couple episodes, you're like, okay, it's kind of dumb, but once you get after past the first season, um, you do it. Um, no, I don't really, I'll watch it, but I think I went through a phase where I watched a lot of Family Guy. Pretty
Yeah,
funny.
I'm still I'm still watching. I'm still finishing it because I've watched the first 6 seasons a bunch of times because it was at my grandpa's house and he had them on
Yeah,
DVD, so we'd watch those. And then
it, it's on Disney Plus now, eh? The
yeah,
seasons. So
on that
yeah,
Star add-on.
that's kind of crazy. I can binge watch Family Guy. It's
Yeah,
so funny.
it's a good one I put on just to like
Mhm.
laugh and
Yeah.
get some funny jokes from.
So other than, are there any shows that you're watching right now that are like, have all the seasons on, you're just kind of starting it? Like it's
I'm in between three three TV series right now. So first I just started F is for Family, which is like Bill Burr. That's how I
Mhm.
figured it out. And it's a comedy. It's kind of funny. It's a little
Mhm.
like he's like the
Yeah.
dad or whatever. And it's good. I think
There's
there's 4 seasons and I'm on season 2, like halfway through. And then I'm also on Stranger Things. I'm also
oh you
finished first season. Got to start the second season. I just haven't like it's hard to get started into the first one I watched within like a week and it was like so good. And then the second season I just got to start it and I think once I start it it'll be good.
yeah.
And then my third one I'm watching is Shameless, which
Oh yeah.
is I think it's season 11
Mhm.
now and I only watched the first 2 episodes so I also got to finish that. So I'm kind of in between all
Mhm.
of them.
I feel with Shameless is like Netflix, they released the whole season and it's just like watch them all just like back to back. Just keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Um
What
Trying to
are you
think.
watching right now?
I'm on like on Star. I'm watching this new show called Blackish. It's about like a family.
Oh, it's
They're
with
on
that
like
what's the main
I feel
characters? What's his name? The actor.
oh I gotta um he's in movies. I don't know. They're only like 20-minute episodes. It's funny. Um, it's a
Yeah,
typical sitcom like ABC.
Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, Anthony Anderson. He's funny. He's a good dad.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, like I have a few TV series on the go, but I have to wait like once a week because they're on like cable, and I just wait for them to be uploaded. But for binge watching series, like I like when you know like shows that have all the seasons. I can just start and not wait.
Yep.
Sometimes I think I just should just wait for shows to end and not wait to week to week.
Yeah. But I mean that keeps me
Um,
interested, I think, waiting the week to week,
yeah, it keeps you
depending on the
interested.
show.
It's hard to believe, how people actually had to wait like we don't.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if you've watched it, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine is on
oh
its
yeah,
8th season. Either they're filming the 8th,
final season.
and I mean they announced they're finishing it and it's gonna be done after this. Like they're cutting the
Hmm.
cord.
Um,
But I'm a big fan
I
of it. I love
remember,
Andy Samberg.
yeah, with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I watched the first season, thought it was great, and then I just kind of forgot about it. But then like when the second season got added, I had to rewatch the first season because like it was too good. And
Yeah.
when they that's another show, they add the whole season, so you can polish a season off in a week or two.
Yeah. Well, I think it just depends if they're aired on TV because
Mm-hmm.
they usually air on TV like once a week or whatever, and
Yeah.
then that'll be like 8 weeks or however many episodes they have, and
Mm-hmm.
then on that ninth or 10th week they'll be like, okay, we're putting this on Netflix, and then they put them all
Mm-hmm.
on,
Yeah,
and then
it's smart.
that's kind of how it works.
Um,
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think it kind of got worse. It got
Yeah.
better and then kind of slowed down after like season 5 when it
Well,
switched over between Fox and NBC.
yeah, I was just about to mention how they got dropped and picked up.
Yeah, it
Um,
was weird how they got dropped because they were doing so well.
mhm. Um, do you have like a favorite show like that? Like you just love to binge watch no matter what? Like I think
Um,
mine, my best show like that I was actually like really into during this whole COVID was probably Mad Men. It's on Netflix.
oh yeah,
John Hamm. I just, I'd heard about it and I heard it was like boring, 60s, blah, blah, blah. But then like I put on the first episode and after the first episode, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta keep watching. And I like during lockdown in the spring,
hmm
I just like kept watching it. It kept getting better and better. And
yeah.
like it's all I wanted to watch. It's just like I don't want to watch a movie tonight. I'm gonna go watch Mad Men.
I know it's kind of hard to get out of that
hmm
addictive watch the
hmm
show till it's over, and then once it's over, you kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, now
Yeah,
what?
it's always, it's coming to an end, so it's hard. Like, oh, I got to slow down because it's going to be over soon. But
hmm
that's the great thing about all these streaming services. You can just start another show right after. That's what I've
Yeah,
been doing since COVID.
yeah. I mean, if I had to binge one, it'd probably be The Office, just because like it can never get old. There's never a
Yeah.
bad episode. I mean, well, there's a few bad episodes, but they're not like horrible. They have some good
Mm,
parts to it.
mm,
But I kind of like I usually what they're like most of my categories are usually comedy, and
yeah.
this one I watched with my dad is Top Gear,
The Cars. Yeah,
the
yeah.
car show, and
Mhm,
they had a couple seasons. I don't know how many seasons they had, but they were on TV, and then they got dropped by theirs, and then Amazon picked them up, and same guys, they just called it something different, so they're doing the exact same thing,
mhm,
and I don't know. It's also a good show I'm watching right now.
mhm. Are there any of those shows, that get like added once a year and they only add like, like a Shameless or like on Netflix, they add once a year, they add like one season at a time, that you just like can't wait for during the year and it's coming out. Like, when you add Netflix and it says new season coming soon, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like
Back in the not back in the day, a couple years ago was Riverdale. Riverdale was huge, kind of at
mm,
our school,
yeah.
and I was like, wow, like I think they did episodes, and then I think one point they did a full season,
I think
and
so.
they kind of switch it up. But I was so like into the first four, I think, or three, and then like it just got like the fourth or fifth one, they just kind of got weird,
hmm
and they started like just
Um,
turning everything.
Netflix, there's a couple series that they only add once a year. They add the whole season. I'll watch it the whole season in a week. I'm gonna have to go with Sex Education. The first two seasons I
Yeah,
binge watched and loved it.
I've seen those too.
Great. Um, I'm also into like that Last Chance You when they add a new season. I find that show like really cool, really interesting. I love sports. It kind of brings out it's different. Um, and I
Yeah,
can't wait. Adding a new basketball series, which I will definitely binge watch.
yeah. I mean, I love as much as I love football. I'm not a big fan of like sports movies and TV shows, just because I kind of feel like they're pretty unrealistic. But I
hmm
know that one's
This one's like real life, and it's
yeah.
just
It's kind of like almost like
um,
a documentary, basically.
it is a documentary, but it has that TV show aspect where every episode ends like, oh, like
Yeah,
there's a cliffhanger that you just gotta
yeah,
keep watching. Um,
yeah.
Also, there's this one show, I don't know, probably no one's, it's called On My Block. Loved the first three seasons. It's a
No, I
Netflix
haven't seen
show.
that.
Um, no, they release one season at a time every year, and I'll binge watch it. One of those half an hour ones where you just might as well just finish it while you're at it.
Yeah, I feel like what's I wouldn't say it's taking over, but it's making a good push is British TV shows.
Yeah,
So
that.
like Black Mirror,
hmm
Bridgerton are all pretty popular. Bridgerton's only its
Yeah.
first season.
I I can't binge watch Black Mirror. I only do if I do watch it, it's only like one episode. It's just like
Yeah,
too much.
I've
Like
only
it's
seen.
crazy.
I know, because each episode's like so different.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Um,
I've only seen a few episodes, just like 3, I think.
mhm,
Only because I've been like someone suggested it to me.
yeah. There's also some shows like that everyone's watching that I haven't watched. Such as Ozark. You need to watch that.
Yeah,
Heard it's
Ozark
great.
is. Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of good stuff out there that I have to start.
I think another big one, Parks and Rec. I think that's more of a comedy one that has a good cast that I need to get into and really
Yeah,
watch it. Um, but yeah, um, I definitely do find myself binge watching a lot of stuff, as not as much as I should be, but during COVID,
yeah.
when you
I mean,
can't go out.
it's a good thing to do. There's a bunch of more. Oh, You. It's a good show
Yeah, my
that is
parents,
very
I
addicting.
I think that's on my list too.
They added
Um,
or they didn't add, but they really left it as like a season 3 could be happening.
mhm.
So as long as they're like keep their contract and all that,
Yeah, that's
they'll be doing
Netflix
it.
is so many shows that everyone's got to keep up with, and but I
Yeah,
do love when they just add every season and you don't have to wait. You could just watch episode after episode or movie after movie.
I like a good mix between both. I
Hmm.
feel like the two most popular um TV shows would be Grey's Anatomy and Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Like Grey's
Oh,
Anatomy,
Breaking
there's
Bad. I
uh,
I that's one of the best shows ever. Could watch it over and over.
yeah,
Yeah, Grey's
I'm only on
Anatomy.
season 2, so I still need to also finish that.
Um,
But I haven't watched that in over a year.
Grey's Anatomy. All through high school, girls. Oh, we got binge watch Grey's. They added a new season. I just can't get it. I've tried it, can't get into it.
I think I got up to 8 seasons in it, and it just got so repetitive.
But I think Breaking Bad's one of those shows once in a lifetime that you have to watch. I
Yeah,
also think um, Entourage HBO special. I think everyone has to watch that. It's great, 30-minute episodes about crazy Hollywood actors and their friends and what they do.
yeah,
Um,
I'll have to give that a watch as well.
mhm. But
Um, yeah, this
anyways,
there's another show that it's not Netflix, it's a YouTube show. It's Hot Ones, as you've probably seen them.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
they eat hot wings, like chicken wings with celebrities, and ask them questions and all that. And it's the Sean Evans is the host, and I think
Mhm.
it's really good. Like they have a lot of good episodes.
Yeah, I think everyone goes through a phase where they just watch a lot of YouTube videos, just random stuff out there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, just videos, popular stuff going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but anyways, I think that's all I have for today. I hope we suggested there's a lot of good shows and movies we suggested to binge
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, I think there's so many like good ones out there that we probably have no idea about that we need to
Oh yeah, we
watch.
probably forgot a bunch. So if we
Yeah.
did, please let us know and comment.
Yeah, that'd be good to know.
And we're
Yeah.
glad to be back. And have a good rest of the year, month, year.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, and special thanks to Your Fish and Chips again.
Yes.
Go check them out. Great food, great service. Can't go wrong.
Quality. Just all right. Happy podcast.
Take care.